the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got a spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every
There I am.
from the Hokies to the Highlanders.
Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Knicks fan. Hey, Erica. Hola.
Lighten up the dark.
Professional Door text line 391-0788. Yeah, he jumped in to see. I thought that was a good picture, just to, look like he was ready to go. Guess I'm done. I guess I can't do the show any longer. Many of you would go, yeah, all right. All right. Ooh, man, I just cut that off pretty quickly, didn't I? Sorry. Hey, Rodney, good morning. I see you, Morris. Yeah, Fat Rat's my favorite name. From the Messiah arriving in Blacksburg with his Fat Rat in tow. Here in Palm, we're 4-star mesmerized. BDST's live. Prometheus, how are you? Man, we need your fire, man. It's 20, what is it, 20 degrees? Hey, yeah, 25, 26. Just do flipped over, 26. Then we got snow tomorrow. I know, Opal. I know you love snow. Thank you, Opal. Yeah, he is. He's been a nice addition. He really has. Especially given his circumstances that, craziness, just crazy. Crazy. Where are you, Erica? So she says, snow for us, lucky all we have is rain and hail. I would rather have rain. I would rather have rain. So we had signing day. Andy Bitter's coming on, by the way, and we'll get complete coverage of all the signing day. I'll save most of it for him. He was there all day yesterday. No real surprises. You know, we talked about the Wiggins kid was sort of lit yesterday. And so that wasn't a surprise. So we'll let Andy kind of get into it. David Teel's going to join us. He was there as well. And then Dwight Vick. So we got a really good tech, a good tech post-signing day coverage show today. And we'll get into all that. Another loss for the Highlanders last night. Southern Miss, solid team. They beat Radford 82-75. First half, just one made three. Highlanders made 9 of them in the second half, but most of them came in scramble mode. Made it look a little closer. So another loss. Play again Sunday against St. Francis, a team that, you know, is dropping down to Division III, so it's a game you should win. But they've now dropped a couple home games against very light teams, you know, good mid-major teams. UNC Wilmington and now Southern Miss. Had a big crowd there last night. We had the teddy bear toss. It was the debut of alcohol being sold at the Edmond Center. Yeah, it looks like I'm bald, Erica, but I'm not. It's just the light. I just keep it short. I was a fighter, so I keep it short. And, you know, it's 10 games in now. Radford 3-7. And, you know, conference play in the Big South is really the main thing that matters because we're never going to be a 2-bid league. But same issues keep showing up. And I think that's a problem. That's a problem. So we'll see. Opal says she's like a schoolgirl watching the news for weather updates, praying for no school. There won't be any school tomorrow. Heck, they closed it down when we had a light glazing of whatever it was, freezing rain the other day, or 2 hours late. So, yeah, there won't be any school tomorrow. At least the only good thing is if it's going to snow, I think it's right now. The guy you watch, if you're on X, by the way, is Kevin Myatt. Watch him over all the local weather people. Kevin's been doing the weather for a long, long time, and he is really good. He's an actual real meteorologist. So Kevin Myatt, M-Y-A-T-T. If you ever want to know what's going on with a storm and you are on Twitter/X, he's the guy. So just check him out. You'll be glad that you did. Very, very glad that you did. I should be hired by the NFL. Yeah, I'd keep track of the shady officiating, Erica, that's going on. So good class for Tech, as we expected. And now everybody will start working on the portal. Quarterback's going to be the big thing out of the portal. Huge. Thank you, Erica. Appreciate that. Opal says it's different in her day. They used to use the snowboats. Joseph, how are you? Oh, man, the Miami Notre Dame banter heating up, huh, Joseph? Franklin will need a veteran quarterback. Yeah, they're going to have the right quarterback, and that's something he did not do well at Penn State. Hey, good job, Prometheus. Robin's retired now, though, right? But he could I guarantee you Robin still plays for – still checks out the weather for fun, right? Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. Yeah, I'm with you. Because everybody can speculate on recruits all you want. We are, Erica. We're sports. I hope. By the way, subscribe, Erica. You can stop by anytime. Even we talk a lot of pop culture. We do. Movies, music. We do a lot of stuff, but we're a sports show. So, yeah. I actually, Prometheus, work with Robin's son, Patrick Reed. He works up on campus, and he comes and he helps out with the stats during our basketball games. So, yeah, that's cool. We have a Reed connection, you and I. But I'm with you, Paul. I know, Morris. We didn't close school either in Pulaski County. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, I talked to Patrick last night, as a matter of fact. But I'm with Patrick. I want now. I mean, with Paul. Now I want to know. Here's some coaches. I did get a heads up from a couple people that it doesn't look like much of the staff is going to be retained. LeBron is old, Eric. If basketball-wise, he's old. And I'm not sure he's not more involved in this whole gambling thing than people think. That's some of the new speculation, right? Morris, people are going to look at those rankings. We're going to have people on who'll tell you what those rankings are like. Most of those recruiting services, whether good or bad, that's why when Tech would be criticized in the past, I would say, you know what, don't worry about it. But those guys, a lot of those people don't even watch these kids play. You're not going to find one football coach who cares about the recruiting rankings other than when they use them to try to help recruit. None of them go, oh, my goodness, look at our recruiting class where it's ranked. No, they know their recruiting class when they get the guys out there and they start practicing and developing and how they're fitting in. Then they realize they've got the real deal. So I know a lot of people look at those numbers and get all enamored. Thank you, Erica. Well, we like you being here. If you are one of those, that's great. But I'm not going to be hypocritical. I never would punish Tech or anybody else when it said, oh, they only have the 95th recruiting class. None of that stuff matters. All that matters is how do they develop when they get there, right? How are they coached, and then how do they perform once they're ready to go? That's the thing. We've seen a lot of great recruiting classes. A lot of schools always have top 10 recruiting classes, and then they don't end up living up to the potential you think. Certain guys once offered by other schools, once that happens, like for instance, if a kid is not being looked at by an Ohio State or Notre Dame, he might be a 2 or 3 star. And then all of a sudden, if he's taking a visit and they find out that Ohio State offers him, he'll bump up to a 4. They don't even see the kid play. They just immediately bump him up. So, but that's fine. That's fine. I do like Edwards. I do. Everybody says Penn State is freaking out. We haven't seen anything from Penn State. It's so weird, isn't it? The whole Penn State thing is there hasn't been any noise out of that place in any way, shape, or form. We've seen a lot of people write about it. We've seen a lot of people post about it. I was getting threads all day yesterday. Well, that's cool, Erica. That's cool. Yeah, that's exactly right, Paul. Yeah, when Saban would recruit a kid, he'd bump a guy up maybe 2 stars, and those guys don't watch football. So I don't. Okay. So everybody who's like, oh, my God, look at the numbers. Well, okay, that's great. Yeah, they've added a lot of recruits. But I'm like, Paul, let's get the coaching staff here now. Let's see what the coaching staff's going to look like. And then you're going to kind of know a little bit more about how this team could develop. And I guess that'll come out today. We'll ask Andy about that. He was over there all day yesterday. So we'll know. The other misnomer is that people are just saying, hey, look at James Franklin flipping all these guys. That's not the right term. The right term is, yeah, he's flipping them, but now they're coming to Virginia Tech to get the money that they were going to get at Penn State. You all know how this works. And the fact that it's James Franklin helps, but the fact that Tech's got this new budget really, really helps. And they dedicated a lot of it to that. So they can play in these waters now. And we're already seeing the new money come into play here. And that's fine. That's what everybody's doing. I kept getting all these updates about all these guys flipping. And I just think, man, oh man, the negotiation's been going on for a while. Craziness. Yeah, he'll get players. He's going to get players. That's what he's always done. That's his strength. His strength is to recruit. Now, I want to see what the staff looks like. Definitely. Now I want to see what the staff looks like. Yeah, and Penn State's got no coach. They've got nobody to try to counter. There's nobody there to say, hey, we can offer you this, because there's no coach. Is it unfortunate that Penn State, for them, okay, let's talk about this from this perspective, because I keep seeing this from people. Is it unfortunate for them that, they're going to have to scramble for players in the portal, whoever is named coach? And I guess they should have a coach this weekend, one would think. Everybody's doom and gloom. Oh my God, Penn State's going to just be this terrible program because of one recruiting class. Right? I don't understand how people with any common sense that supposedly cover this sport are jumping on all this. Like really? It's Penn State. They survived the Sandusky scandal with Bill O'Brien. They almost got the death penalty. Right? There was a lot of talk that the school themselves were going to eliminate football. That was a serious conversation when all that came out. Remember that? It is a good mic, Eric. And then all I heard was Penn State won't be irrelevant again for 10 years. I remember Colin Cowherd going on this rant about how Penn State will be this downtrodden program for 10 years. I think it only took them a year to adjust. And you got to give Bill O'Brien some credit. He's the one that kind of set the table when James Franklin got hired. He brought them out of that. But to say that they're not going to recover from one bad recruiting class, a blue blood like Penn State in the Big Ten, okay. Is it a setback this year? Sure, when you lose a recruiting class and you don't have a coach to go out and try to salvage any of it, right? Of course those kids are going to look to leave. And they're going to look to the coach who brought them in while he was still at his prior institution. It's really common sense. I understand it from a tech perspective. They want to build this up. I get it. It's all marketing. It's all publicity. It's the way it is across the country. Every school's doing it. But the thing that surprised me is you see people representing these recruiting services doing it. It's just like there's a vendetta against Penn State. That's a good point about the Matt Sieg kid, Paul. Yeah, where was West Virginia? Well, they came forward with a massive deal from what I heard. Massive deal. And West Virginia got that kid. And there was a lot of that yesterday. I saw a lot of people like, look at all these guys that weren't even – the schools that weren't mentioned for guys across the country, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom. I'm not saying that the recruiting rankings don't matter, Morris. I'm just saying if you're just basing it on what a bunch of computer nerds put numbers on, let's see what they do when they get here. Right? Let's see what they do when they get here. That's what matters. That's why I'm curious about the coaching staff. That's what I'm curious about, who it's going to be. who's going to be there. Yeah, we got to get into this Notre Dame-Miami debate sometime, Joseph. Man, oh, man, it's really starting to heat up. Mayor Cristobal yesterday highlighting the shortcomings of Notre Dame's schedule. That was wild. That was really wild. Sexton does not care. By the way, that's a false – I don't know where all that came from. I've talked to people that know Jimmy Sexton. He did not do anything to Penn State. Now, is he using them to try to get other clients money? Sure. But he wants one of his clients at Penn State. He understands the business. Jimmy Sexton gets the business. It's as cutthroat as anything. Like, he's an agent for coaches in college football. He understands it's a cutthroat industry. And for them to run with the fact that that this agent spending his time trying to hurt Penn State, none of that is accurate. I talked to a guy whose football coach is represented by Jimmy Sexton, and they're just laughing at some of these reports. But people are going to run with whatever is typed out on X. I get it. This is why Access Media continues to thrive, even though they do nothing but spread lies for the most part, especially about politics. And people will just eat it up. We'll just eat it up. But to think that a multimillionaire, Jimmy Sexton, is sitting around worried about Penn State spending his extra time trying to make sure nobody takes that job is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, he did a good job, but again, he's re-recruiting and he's just going back to recruits he's already known for the most part. He did flip some other guys. Yeah. I mean, he took a lot of kids at Penn State that he already had in the fold, right? They lost their money. Now they're getting their money back. Oh, my goodness, Wayne. Yeah, I didn't talk about that. So Southern Miss last night. A lot of you, Morris, I know you will remember the old Metro Conference. Southern Miss was part of the old Metro Conference. Virginia Tech grew up watching that. It was a league, man. It was right up there with the ACC. Many of you might remember Keith Lee from Memphis State, Dale Solomon, my all-time favorite Virginia Tech basketball player. Yeah, I did not upload them, though. I do have pictures. I could show it, though. And they're wearing their warm-up suits are the old school Southern Miss warm-up suits that they wore back in the late 70s and early 80s. Coach Ladner, their head coach, played at Southern Miss, and he wore those. Look at this. Can you all see that at all? Look at that. It's like the Indiana stripe. Let me get that up there. With the classic Southern Miss on the back. Y'all see that? Is that not cool or what? You got the collar. And that's what they wore back in the day. Remember that? Yeah, like the Harlem Globetrotters. Indiana still wears those. And I told Coach, I said, I tell you what, if you leave some of those laying around, I'm going to leave with a pair of them. And he laughed. He said, yeah, the guys love them. He said it's, oh, that's right, Morris, Clarence Witherspoon. Absolutely, man. And he said, you know what? The kids love them. Yeah, they had the snap pants, man. Just pull them right off. He said the kids love them, and we use it as recruiting. People have it. They said they sell them. See the throwbacks. See there? Anything throwback is good. And it naturally fits them because they're already black and gold, so they're not forcing a black uniform that doesn't belong in your color scheme like a lot of schools. Yeah, Ace was Atlantic 10. I think Bimbo was still Metro. Wayne, check me on that. Was Bimbo early Metro? Bobby Beecher, Charlie Moyer, Les Henson. Those are some fun Tech teams to watch, man. Man, I love Dale Solomon. I still have a sign. I don't know where it is. It's in storage. I have a sign with the old Metro Conference logo. All the gyms were really dark on TV. Like, it may have been like a Metro game of the week when we really still appreciated sports on TV because we didn't get to see it that often. So when it came on, it was a huge event. And now you just, you turn on. It's just, we take it for granted now because there's 100 games on every night. I remember that game, Thunder. Yes, sir. I wasn't there, but it was on TV. Yeah. Tech beat Memphis State that day, if I'm not mistaken, Thunder. Memphis State was named number 1 in the country. They had Keith Lee. Who was their other really good player? Anyway. They had a promo, Bob Uecker, and they had his mask in the upper 10 rows. I must be in the front row. God, I love those commercials. And Tech beat them. Beat Memphis State and Keith Lee. If I'm not mistaken, Keith Lee had the flu or something. But yeah, I remember that vividly, man. That was fun. I love that league. And to see those outfits last night, it was so cool to see a coach who gets it. Coach Ladner, a veteran coach. Man, that was fun. But anyway, they had 14 new players. He wasn't sure what kind of team they were going to have, and they looked pretty darn good last night. There's no way they were picked 12th in the Sun Belt. That's James Madison's league. There's no way they're going to be 12th. Southern Miss, there's no way. And for Radford, you got to pick it up now. You have a very winnable game, a game you should win Sunday. A program that got decimated because they're dropping down to Division III going forward next year. Then you have exams, and then you bring in Coppin State. I think they have 1 win. So you got a chance to get a few wins. You got to go William and Mary. And then VMI before Christmas. So you got a chance to get some wins, but that was a big one last night. They needed to take home. They did. And conference play is really all that matters for us. But that was a disappointing result last night. For me, I see a lot of threes. I mean, it's the way Coach Chu wants to play. It's an NBA style. They shoot a lot of threes. They were 1 of 10 from 3 in the first half last night. And then in scramble mode, they were hitting these amazing last 5 minutes when they were down by 14. They just started throwing up long threes, and they were going in. So they rallied back, got it down to 3, but they couldn't get over the hump. They're not playing very good defense, I'll tell you that. So we shall see. They got the rest of the month to try to fix some things before conference play. First game's New Year's Eve in conference play down at Upstate. Troy, good observation. Louisville and Memphis were the UNC and Duke of the Metro Conference. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to try and find the old Metro Conference logo. I wish I should have. Well, I got home late last night after the game. But I have a sign with the old Metro logo. So good. It was a great league. That was a great league. I was sending that picture around to all the basketball folks. Yeah, here you go. I have a sign with that on it somewhere. Can y'all see that? Old Metro Conference. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that was a great league, man. And I know I'm aging myself, but oh well. Yeah, Andre Turner. Yeah, was that William Bedford? Yeah. There we go. Correct, Frank. Correct. that summation you're all coming up with, Paul, Frank, yes. There's not a lot of effort on that end of the floor, and that you can't do that. And, you know, Memphis wanted Memphis. Here we are. We're talking about the Metro. Southern Miss, big team, brand new team. They have really good guards too, but they want it to be half court. So they're running these sets. Their guard is hustling back on defense. They made life miserable for Radford shooters in the first half. They knew the game plan. They knew they wanted to shoot threes, and they didn't give them a lot of clean looks. And in the scramble mode, they started to hit some. That's right. Memphis was in the 85 Final Four. That was the year Villanova upset Georgetown, right? With the Jensen kid. Remember, what was his name? Jim Jensen? John, what is it? Remember the guard that kept hitting shots? Keith Lee was a heck of a college basketball player, man. Whew. That'd be one of those things too, man. Wouldn't you love it? Yeah, Ed Pinckney. Easy Ed Pinckney. What is it, number 54? Is that right? I don't know how that popped in. Tulane was in that league. I remember seeing the Tulane logo and thought it was cool then with the wave. It looked a lot different then. I remember thinking, oh, that's awesome. But Southern Miss, and they had those shooting outfits on last night. That was cool. That was really cool. And I thought it was interesting, again, talking about how much the current team loved them. And when they bring guys in for campus, they, you know, to recruit, and they do the recruit, you know, how every school does, like Tech did with the kids they ended up getting when they brought them down and take a picture of them on the field, like, you know, James Franklin did in the uniform. He says they put them out there in those old shooting outfits, and they love them. They love them. Now this is where you wish you had like you know what we should do, all of us who are part of this program, and I mean me and you, we should come up with like a way to get the rights to old games, old game broadcast, old videotapes. There's a lot of them that are out there. And be able to broadcast them and just have them as like the game of the week, right? Don't worry about present day. I've always had this idea. What do you think? Tell me if you think I'm stupid. I know you will. But let's say you go back to the old Metro Conference day. Remember when Les Henson hit the shot against Florida State? And it wasn't really a shot. It was just a heave, 89 feet, whatever it was. Perry Clark. Yes, Tulane. And you could just say, tonight on BDST channel, whatever it is, Virginia Tech travels to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. It's the old graphics, the whole old game broadcast. You could implement modern day advertising sales, you know, and just run the whole game like it was an actual broadcast. That, you know what I'm saying? And I know ESPN Classic used to do some of that, but that went by the wayside. I would love stuff like that. There's probably not enough of a market for it, but maybe there is. And just show those games from all those eras, you know. But you'd have to get rights, and I know it's too hard to do. You could never do it, but wouldn't that be fun? Never Nervous Purvis. Hey, OS fan. Man, there was some good Louisville teams. Whew, Denny Crum. Wayne says, us old Hokies used to spend the night outside Castle for student tickets. The seats were by the court and high demand. And football wasn't. You're right. You're right. That's cool. That is really cool. So David Smith was there last night, our NFL expert. And I said, hey, man, I know you appreciate those Memphis warm-ups. And he knew immediately. He started just reeling it off. It was great. Prometheus says first team he remembers was Sean Good. Oh. Damon Watlington. Yeah, absolutely, man. You talk about a good backcourt. Tech's had some really good basketball teams. I think Virginia Tech's basketball history is very underrated. Don't you? They've had some really good teams. I know they've, haven't had deep runs into the tournament. Charlie Moyer, I know his son Paige really well. I need to get Paige on here. Then Bill Foster. There's some fun teams to watch, man. The Dale Curry era, as many of you are referencing. Going to Castle and watching those games. Me and my friends would go over there late, and get in cheaper tickets. And we'd move down as the game went on if there weren't seats, They weren't so strict about checking the tickets and all that. But Tech's got a really, really, really solid basketball tradition. They really do. They really do. Jack Goose Gibbons. That's exactly right. He was the color analyst. We're getting into some feels now, man. This is cool. Don't worry, we're going to get you covered on all the recruiting stuff. We got Andy and David Teel. We got all the Tech stuff coming, but this is fun. This is fun. All right, so the Metro Conference original members. I know I'm leaving people out here. Let's get that. All right, here we go. The original members of the Metro Conference, 1975, Cincinnati. How about this? Georgia Tech, Louisville, Memphis State. How do we forget about St. Louis? And Tulane. Those were the charter members. Okay. Those were your charter members. I forgot about St. Louis. Member schools. Who else came into play? Cincinnati, obviously, in that league. We talked about Memphis State, Tulane, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Southern Miss, South Carolina, UNC Charlotte. Forgot about that. VCU. Wow. And South Florida. Man, what a good league. Jeez. Oh, really, Prometheus? That's awesome. He was a ball boy for 4 years, 89 and 92. Very cool. Morris says Bill Foster loved him. Yeah, he was a great dude. I met him a couple times. Client. You were an honorary coach? That's awesome. You had St. Bonaventure. That's really, really cool, man. Really, really cool. And that's cool. Prometheus was an actual ball boy. That's so cool. It's when we're growing up too, right? And our love for sports is developing, and none of these politics and money games and all this crap. We're just watching the games, watching these guys, appreciating it. It takes us back to our roots, man. That's why stuff like that last night got to me in a good way. I was just so excited to see it. It seems like a small thing, but it just triggers all that in you again. And here I go again, being like Dad, talking about my day, like we talk about with snow and school and bad weather. Here I go again. But, well, it was better, wasn't it? It was better. It was just better. Not hearing about the business, not thinking about all the millions of dollars that exchanged hands yesterday with recruiting. And all these flips. It's just better. All of us can go back. Doesn't matter what era. When we go back to our childhood, whether you're in my era, your era, it was just better. Baseball was better. The NFL was better. College sports especially felt better. Man, oh man, oh man. Good stuff, though. Good conversation. That's fun. That's fun. And I'm glad you guys, I'm not surprised you guys appreciate it. But I sent that, I got that. I was so excited to see those outfits. I got distracted during we're getting ready for pregame. And, oh, look, So cool. You know what I remember about those days, Morris says, trying to tune in the tube TV, trying to get the game to come through or get the antenna on top. It was pure. That's a good word, Prometheus. It was, man. And that's why we still put up with it today. That love and passion for sports. That's why I still do a show for the third version of it here on YouTube now. Oh, those UNLV teams. Yeah, Joseph. Is that not still one of the weirdest things ever? Yeah, Jerry Tarkanian, who was as dirty as it comes in terms of breaking all the rules at the time. That towel, and he would suck on the towel. What was that? That's just weird. You could probably transfer that into other areas, but we won't go there. Yeah. Oh, Billy Packer. Jefferson Pilot broadcast of ACC games. Woo. How much did we love the Jefferson Pilot ACC broadcast? And that segued right out of the Metro Conference. Billy Packer, voice of a lot of our childhoods, man. Now you're gonna hate. Oh, now who was his main play-by-play guy early? I don't mean later when it was Dick Imberg and then the coach Al McGuire. Who was his play-by-play guy on those Jefferson Pilot games? He was always the analyst. Was it Bill something? I'm glad you came back, Erica. Tell your friends, subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Spread the word. What was his name? We'll talk some NBA sometime, Erica. It's not necessarily a popular topic here because the NBA is, but that's fine. You can fit in, talk about anything you want. So, I don't know. See, Jefferson Pilot, it's going to drive me crazy. Sorry, guys. Jefferson Pilot Sports. I'll just put announcers. It'll be easier. No, I want the original Jefferson Pilot. Billy Packer. Jim Thacker. It was Jim Thacker, wasn't it? Jim Thacker. Jim Thacker and Billy Packer. It rhymed. Yes, sir. There we go. Thank you. Oh, David, we could do a whole week on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Thacker and Packer. Now we're cooking. That's it. Man, that was good. And again, we got like one game, right, during the week, and then you had the weekend. And you would highlight and make sure you were there watching. Didn't matter which ACC game it was. It could be NC State, Wake Forest. Didn't matter. Every now and then you'd be fortunate enough to get Tech or UVA. Oh, yeah. How about the Cowboys game? Yeah, we do talk smack about LeBron. That's true. The largest watch game in the history of non-Super Bowl television. Did you see that? The Cowboys-Chiefs Thanksgiving game. This is why the NFL doesn't care about all the shortcomings that it has. 57.5 million people watched the Cowboys-Chiefs game on Thanksgiving. 57.5 million. Wow. The Holly Farms player of the game. 100%. Keep them coming. This is fun. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio, 540-200-8294. Supposed to snow tomorrow. They wouldn't care. They'd still come out and they would try to get your fence going. Family Fencing. They're the best. Jason Green and Company. McClellan Chiropractic Clinic. Go see Mark Hunley, sponsor of our live chat, which is exploding with memories of the Metro Conference. The Ready Set Fund, Bob Christ, bobchrist11@gmail.com. They're helping you raise money any way you can. They send out text messages. They help you develop it, and you go out. They help Floyd County softball raise $4,000 in less than a week. Professional Door Incorporated. Our guy, Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated up in Dublin, right across from New River Community College. They're the best in garage doors, the best. Lara Ramsey, National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner, BDST, here on YouTube. Go buy your next vehicle at Harvey's GM in Radford. Most of you, by the way, are answering our BDST fan question of the week, brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry at 701 West Main Street in Radford, saying you think Duke's going to beat Virginia in the ACC championship game. It's about 73% Duke right now. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Charles Lee and Company. We have so many great people that I know the best at what they do, and Charles Lee is the best at what he does. Heating and air units, great prices, 540-553-2971. Don't hesitate. Just do it. Don't mess with other folks. And, of course, we're presented every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thank you to all the wonderful folks there. And next week's the week we debut guests every week from them on this program. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply since 1997. Manufactured home parts, windows, doors, plumbing, installation. 540-382-8011. And thanks to the NRB Super Bowl, they've been serving the community for 25 years. I understand they've done unbelievable improvements. I've got to get over there. They've really upped the ante from what I hear. I think we should do our bash over there. Prometheus says he was watching Carolina basketball. Well, thank you. Thank you, Erica. That's very nice. Very, very nice of you. Very sweet. I do have a cat. Wasn't planning on it, but I found him on the side of the road. Don't get me started. I always get a little emotional about that story. Here you go. He was taking over the program. Let me show you one more time here. This picture happened the other day. There you go. There's Creed. Sitting in my spot, looking at me like, okay, you're done. I got this. See that dark orange and white fella? Erica, he was part of a surprise find. As I was used back in the day, believe it or not, I used to jog 6 years ago. And I was jogging in my neighborhood, and one of the worst scenes I've ever seen. Somebody had thrown out a bag of baby kittens, and the others were dead. And then he comes walking out of the bag. I mean, you can't. And he's looking up, he's shivering, and I'm just like, oh, you've got it. Really? Who does this? Stuck him in my pocket. My kids were still here then. And as soon as you say, hey, look what I found. Yeah, I don't know how people can do that. And I've seen puppies. It's just. Yeah, I am. Of course, Prometheus. I am a Pulaski County Cougar. Although I went to Dublin schools and then Pulaski County. Even the cat is Bronco colors. Creed is the color guy. Tell you one thing, man, that dude can hunt. He is amazing. He is amazing. Bobby Hussey after Foster. Yeah. Chew gum, and when he got pissed when a play wouldn't work, he would take out his gum and throw it. I want to thank Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel, too. If you want T-shirts, don't forget we got them. Great Christmas gifts. $20 if I can get them to you locally. There they are. We've had a lot of people want a shirt. So I will have those, and we're getting the 3X tall and the smalls, too. Those are going to come soon. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, man. After Jefferson Pilot, yeah, Raycom. Yep, absolutely. 98.7 FM and listen to the great Woody Durham. Wes sounds so much like his dad. You call walking the track. Now, this is when I was actually on the road because Creed was on the road. I would run around. Now that's what I do. Actually, now I walk at the new Teel Park. It's beautiful. They did a great job here in Reiner with Teel Park. If you're in the neighborhood, go to Teel Park. I was actually jogging. Yeah. Duke stole Pennsylvania's blueprints for their Cameron Gymnasium. Doesn't surprise me. Oh, thanks, Steven. That's awesome. He wore it driving to New York. Yeah, it's a great shirt. It's a great shirt. Feels great. This is awesome. This is fun. Yeah, Jefferson Pilot, Raycom. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. I heard Mike Young cut out popcorn. Really? Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get Coach back on here. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, that golf course does well. It does. Thank you, Erica. Yeah, I do love Kobe. Now, Kobe's, yeah, I'll put you up there with Kobe now. Kobe's one of my all-time favorite players. 100%. Oh, yeah, you got to go up to Teel Park, man. It's great walking. It's a great walking track. The fields are unbelievable. The baseball, softball fields. They've got football fields up there. Stop by anytime, Erica. And thanks for subscribing. Bones McKinney. Yeah, he's great. Didn't Bones, was he not on there sometimes with Jim Thacker and Billy Packer, all three of them? I think so. And you know what? When Kobe was probably the last NBA player that I really just made sure I tried to watch. Hasn't been the same. He's the closest thing to Jordan we've had. Yeah. Oh, the old Big East. So was it Tuesday, Super Tuesday, whatever they called it? Or was that Monday? It was Monday or Tuesday. Which one was it, Joseph? Yeah, the old Big East games. All those coaches who could tell just didn't like each other in any way, shape, or form. Hated one another. That was a lot of fun, man. Some great times. We get Teel on here later. We'll talk about signing day, and he wrote a great piece about everything that's going on with college sports, as always. Of course, David Teel wrote a great piece, but no, Larry Bird, obviously one of my all-time favorite players. Agreed. Yes, bring your own meat, and I will cook it for you, and you'll be happy that I did. Used to watch those tube sets, eating a bag of Doritos and a glass bottle of Pepsi with a metal twist top. Yeah. Now, what's going on with that? I did hear about it. What is it? The reluctant hireling. That's a great name. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Welcome, reluctant hireling. Please subscribe. Tell me about the NAS court situation. Yeah, I did see something. I haven't looked at it, though. Andy Bitter joins us here in just a little bit. And we'll dive headfirst into all the recruiting. Oh, that's great. Thank you. I got a nice text here with a great logo of the Metro Conference. I'm going to have to save this. And I'll have to put this on the show tomorrow. Thank you. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. I don't remember that, but that's cool. That's sharp, man. Extremely sharp. I'm saving it right now. And I'm going to use your logo. I am. Tomorrow. I'm going to use that tomorrow. Now that you're bald. I'm not bald. I just keep it short. I have hair. I just don't like it. It's too gray. It comes in so gray. All right, Prometheus. Take care, brother. Thanks, man. Yeah, tune us in later. We get a lot of rewatches. A whole lot. Because you don't want to miss Andy and you don't want to miss Teel and Dwight talking about Tech's recruiting class. You don't want to miss any of that. I'm going to tell Andy I just sent the email. There's a lot of times they don't get it. To the owners suing NASCAR due to, the monopoly. Sure. One of the owners is Jordan team in the elevator pit. Yeah. NASCAR has just completely collapsed. Hey, David, good morning. Showing my age, 1973, Virginia Tech NIT starting five. Ed Frazier, Bobby Stevens, Craig Leader, Charlie Thomas, and Alan Bristow. Absolutely. They were heroes to this 13-year-old. What a great starting five. Yeah, I need to print that logo. I need to find it. I have a sign somewhere. Oh, I hope that wasn't just left up in my folks' house. Yeah, Bones McKinney would say, whenever the first shot would roll around the rim, he'd say, watch out, the second shot's going to swish, and it always would. Yeah, Alan Bristow was a great player. Great player for Tech. Paul says, whenever you do the fan roundtable, he wants to be on with Dwight. Yeah, we're going to do that again. Yeah, it got, fiance's mom passed the morning that we were supposed to do that. So, yeah, that got abruptly canceled for obvious reasons. So, yeah, we will. We'll do that. We will do that. Good stuff, man. Just good stuff. But we all started all this with the old Metro talking about Radford, and Southern Miss came in last night and beat them. By the way, Chris Kleiman, the head coach at Kansas State, retires, says he can't handle it anymore. College sports, what it's become. Looks like his son, who's the Texas A&M offensive coordinator, is going to take over at Kansas State. Another coach who just said the day of the big recruiting signing day, saying I'm done with it. We all wear classic teamwork starter jackets for the podcast. Hey, those jackets still hold up, man. They do. Brian Hartline, by the way, the Ohio State offensive coordinator, officially named the head coach at USF, and they were going to be. I think that was kind of been rumored for a while. Right now, everybody's talking. It's weird too. Everything went from signing day until around midday yesterday, and then everybody started talking about how horrible the college football playoff is. Right? Yeah, the TBS Braves baseball games, man. Yeah, once you finally got cable. David, that's the only time I could watch the Padres. I was a Padres fan, and, they were in the same division then. They were in the National League West. It was the National League East, the American League East, and the National League West, and the American League West. That was it. No Central. No Midwest, no North. It was just East and West. Braves and Padres. That's when you actually had proper games against your division rivals. You play 20-some games against your, was it 24 games or something against your divisional team? Skip Carey, Pete Van Wieren, Ernie Johnson Sr., Billy Sample joined those broadcasts. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Roddy. So, yeah, it came out yesterday, and what we had been telling you, my Big Ten guy, about Lane Kiffin really wanted the Florida State job, and that came out yesterday. That was the job he coveted more than any other. And they basically told him, we don't have the money to bring you in here. Could not afford to bring him in here. Sorry, we'd love to have you, but – and I don't know if he leaked that or what, but that got around yesterday, and that's what we had told you. Big Ten guy was all over that. I have no idea why Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame, David. I don't know. I don't understand guys who get in and guys who are left out. Morris says Alan Bristow's girlfriend taught at Newport Elementary. He came and dunked for us. Really? His girlfriend wore mini skirts. Yeah, Steve Stone. My Lord, what a great analyst. Hey, Carey! Steve Stone. And that's all you needed on WGN. Never was a Cubs fan, but that is all in the heck you needed, man. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah, the whole Lane Kiffin thing, I don't know. We'll see. Did you see Joe Burrow's reaction? Quarterback of their last national champion. Hey, what's your thoughts about Lane Kiffin? He kind of sat there, and then he kind of just looked up at the sky, and then he went, he didn't say anything. Oh, of course I do, Rodney. Number 35. He's my all-time favorite Virginia Tech basketball player. You kidding me? Dale Solomon? Absolutely. And I know they've had players like Bimbo. They've had great players, Dale Curry, modern guys. But to me, Virginia Tech basketball always comes back to Dale Solomon, 100%. Yes, sir. First Tech teams I remember watching had old Dale Solomon. Great forward, man. Great, great forward. Good stuff all the way around. David Teel and Dwight Vick join us here in just a little bit. Joining us now on the program, and I know he is got to be might be a little exhausted. He's Andy Bitter. He was covering recruiting all day yesterday. What's up, AB? And by the way, man, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving with your family last week.
Yeah, it was good. A little under the weather here, so try not to cough too much while we're doing this show here. I know people will complain about that.
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Well, let's get through it yesterday. A lot of those Penn State guys we expected, sure enough, coming to Blacksburg, and then some other surprises. What was your take watching all the names come through yesterday?
Pretty impressive for 17 days, right? You saw their signing class a couple weeks ago, ranked 124th, the Hokies, that is. They finished 22nd yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen a 100-point jump in 2 weeks like that. It's impressive work. And you look at Franklin and you go, this is a guy that was here with a skeleton staff, 2 weeks, introducing himself to the area while introducing recruits to the area at the same time, and still pulls a class this highly ranked. What can he do with a full year and an actual staff behind him doing this stuff? So this is pretty impressive. I think if you're a Hokies fan, you're encouraged about the future and what this guy could do with a full recruiting class and full tools at his arsenal here. So this could be sort of a dawning of a new age in terms of what recruiting potential could be at Virginia Tech.
Well, it's always been what he's done best, right? Even at Vanderbilt, when he was rebuilding that, he was getting talent in there that they hadn't had. He kept that going, obviously, at Penn State. And, he had some advantages with these guys. Let's be honest. These are guys he'd already recruited, many of them at Penn State. They lost their money, so they got a chance to get it back. So they obviously are going to follow that coach to Blacksburg. But now you got to get him here, and you got to see what the coaching staff's going to look like. And that's my next question to you. When are we going to start hearing about the staff?
I would imagine here in the next couple of days. I thought we might hear something prior to signing day. That wasn't the case. So all the assistant coaches from Brent Pry were there yesterday. None of them were participating in the signing day show. I did notice Fontel Mines a couple times went up and talked with James Franklin, maybe an indicator there that this guy has a role going forward. But I would imagine most of them are not going to be retained. So it's kind of interesting that they were there the other day. I guess they're still under contract, so you want to keep getting paid, show up or something like that. But I would expect some news to come out these next couple of days.
Any rumors? Did you hear any? I did hear that it doesn't look like many of the current staff members are going to be considered to be part of the future staff.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be much carryover from the previous staff, and that's maybe not a bad thing. I mean, the staff didn't succeed when they were doing stuff. But I think if I look at the current staff, I'd probably say, Fontel Mines, Elijah Brooks, I think would be a good one to keep.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that. I'm always a big JC Price fan. I don't think they're going to keep him on the staff, but who knows exactly how it works out. But that's the football coach life is they up and move every couple of years, especially the assistants. The situations where you have Bud Foster and Charlie Wiles and Stein Sprague and all these guys that are one place for 20 years like that. That's very rare.
Yeah.
So, these assistant coaches, it's a short time thing. They up and move their families all the time. That's an unfortunate, byproduct of this whole thing, but that's just sort of the life.
I think the one thing I like most about the guys who are coming to Blacksburg is, boy, he really paid attention to the lines, and it's so important, especially the offensive lineman kind of tells you what he thinks about what's there, and you got to have it on the defensive side. You're going to have a lot of departures. So I think Tech fans should be very excited to see the attention paid to the big uglies up front with this class.
You have to. If you ignore that, that's tough to make up for afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. I mean, you look at what it costs in the transfer portal to bring in guys. I heard Xavier Chaplin last year went for $1.7 million to go to Auburn. Okay, you're going to pay that across all 5 spots? That gets pretty expensive on the offensive line. So, bring in a lot of guys. Try to develop them over time. That's a spot that, high bust rate, because how can you tell whether these guys are going to be good against college competition? They're so big in high school. They just sort of dominate because they're so big. So you get to college, everybody's physical. All of a sudden there's a big question of whether you can hang there. And it has a lot of injuries because they're always getting nicked up or knees are getting hit from the side. So you need to have a lot of numbers. If you don't, you can get in trouble real quick if somebody gets hurt. So I would expect that to be a focus every year. I don't think they'll take 7 offensive linemen
right.
Every single year, 10 guys total in the trenches. But I think every season that's something that they're going to focus on.
I had several text messages specifically for you today about have you heard anything about the potential quarterback that could be poached out of the portal? I mean, I don't know how that would leak to anyone, but I'm just going to ask the question I was asked. So here you go.
I don't know. Colton Joseph's going in from the looks of it. I saw reports the other day. He could be a pretty good guy in state. Hokies have seen up close what he can do. It's tough to sense the market right now. And it's also tough because I don't know what offense they're running. They're still waiting on the offensive coordinator. I think that's a pretty big deal.
Right. That's right.
What kind of offense they're going to run. So, we'll see who else becomes available. I'm sure there are feelers out there. I'm not naive enough to think that they're going to wait until January 3rd or whenever the portal actually opens to first make contact with these guys. But it's just the start of who's going in, who's rumored to go in, who might be a fit. You're going to have to wait a while for somebody to actually sign, but I'm sure they're already putting their plans together right now.
And that's where the calendar sits now, right? We just kind of wait And now the portal's going to come. A lot of guys across the country, including Blacksburg, that we see go into the portal are going to be told to go into the portal, or urged, right? Now, Brent Pry used to talk about that. Sometimes you have to have those tough conversations, but now we just wait, right, until January to see what, like you said, that comes out of it over the next month or so.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of roster finagling from now and then until then, and a lot of hard conversations, like you met. I'm sure we'll see if James Franklin uses that same phrase that Pry used all the time.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's going to be some guys that get pushed out. You have to do that when it's a new roster like that. It's an unfortunate situation, but these guys are paid to win, so you got to get the best roster possible. You have to go out and buy the best roster possible. And it sounds weird to say that about college football, but that's the truth. That's what
true.
These guys are doing.
Right.
So a lot of evaluations going on, a lot of ideas about who's the best fit for this team and the kind of schemes that they want to run. And again, I don't know what those schemes are going to be. They haven't really given us any clues on who, what they want to run offensively, what they want to run defensively, who's going to be in charge of those units. So
right.
A lot of times, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and whether these coordinators think these players can fit their system. So, I have some ideas about guys that would be good fits. They're good guys that you'd want to keep, but if they don't fit the style of offense or style of defense they want to play, they might not be as obvious of guys to keep.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, and that's why, like you, I kind of thought maybe we'd hear something about the coaching staff beforehand, but he's decided to wait. And sure, all these guys are here or in place. They're just going to wait on the announcement. We don't know that for sure because we haven't gotten any info. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't just say you go get this guy if he's not going to be the quarterback that can run what you want him to be, right? So you have to identify whether it's Joseph or somebody else. And that's going to be an important get for him, this first quarterback out of the portal for his first team.
Yeah, because I think you look at the current situation. I can't imagine the current next year's quarterback is on the team right now.
No.
Maybe a chance for Pop Watson, but who knows? He could barely play last year. They never gave him the opportunity. And you haven't really seen what he's been able to do. Don't know how he operates under real pressure. I guess they could have found out if they put him into the Virginia game. He would have seen real pressure in that situation because they weren't blocking anybody worth a lick in that game. But, Rangel was a guy who came in and was a, Philip Montgomery guy. I can't imagine he's going to stick around. Kyron Drones is done, and the other two guys are freshmen this year who redshirted and, could be players down the line, but still have not taken a college snap yet, which is pretty significant. So this is the team that goes out and finds somebody in the transfer portal.
Well, and the future is there now. Good recruiting class. They're going to have, I think, a strong portal presence as well. So the roster is going to look totally different heading into the spring. But looking back on the final game of the Philip Montgomery era, very disappointed in a lot of ways, not just with the outcome, but I thought that was the first game where we didn't see that fight that we've been talking about with his team. What did you see when you watched Tech against Virginia? Just lackluster is the first word that came to mind.
Yeah, well, they were just such a punchless team. And I guess the defense sort of showed up a little bit in the first half, and then the weight of the offense just giving them nothing. That's a burden to this defense. Eventually, it's not going to be able to hold up much. I think holding them to 27, but your offense can't get a first down for 2.5 quarters is not the worst thing.
Yeah.
I thought the defense played okay at times, but you got to have something on the other side of the ball. And, you go in, you don't have Marcellus Hawkins. You don't have Aiden Green. I mean, Takai Heath's your top receiver, probably. Nice receiver, but I don't think he's the number one guy. And he had a rough game, had a couple drops in that one. Just there's nothing in the passing game. I mean, it's just an embarrassing lack of production from the passing game, and you're not going to win any college football game when you're doing that. So, I don't think it was a well-coached game, but I also think they went in with really no firepower whatsoever offensively. And you have to have some to win a game like that because UVA played pretty well on the offensively.
Yeah, they did. They did. And kudos to them. I mean, they hit the portal hard in a make-or-break year, and here they are, a chance to crash the playoff party if they can take care of business Saturday night. And I got to get into that with you because I know you always have a great take about the state of college football and the latest college football rankings, and man, oh man, they're just getting criticized across the board, rightfully so, with how they're going about things. What are some of your thoughts on that, and what happens if Duke upsets Virginia, and what happened in your opinion with Miami, this whole Miami Notre Dame debate now that's taken off?
Yeah, I mean, if Duke upsets Virginia and JMU and Tulane win, I think the ACC is out at that point. I mean, Duke lost head-to-head to Tulane.
Right.
So if Tulane wins, they're getting in over Duke. JMU is currently ranked. Duke is not. I suppose there could be a scenario where Duke could jump them for 25th or something like that, but I wouldn't bank on that. So then you're talking about having a conference champion that's not one of the top 5 ranked conference champions. You're out at that point. You're not going to get an automatic bid. It would come down to Miami. And, there's a chance that if BYU wins and Duke wins, that both Miami and Notre Dame are out.
It's true.
They're not going to get in. So it'll be real interesting to watch. I think Alabama's an interesting team to watch in that too, because they're currently 9th, I think, and they're playing in the SEC title game. What if they lose that? What if they lose badly in the SEC title game? Do they drop it all? And if they do, does that open up a Miami Notre Dame conversation if they're right next to each other in the standings? And they keep saying, "Oh, there's enough separation between those two." It's like, I guess there's a team between them right now, but is it going to be enough to justify keeping them out? Say BYU loses too. That's the team that's between them. If it's number 10 Notre Dame, number 11 Miami, and you go head-to-head's not going to matter when these teams are back-to-back in the standings. So at least the committee is smart this year. They're not saying the rankings can't change, right? Because last year they went into the penultimate rankings and they said idle teams can't move at this point.
Right.
Like, well, that's stupid because their resumes change based on wins and losses in the last week.
That's right.
They can look better or worse based on how these teams do. So they kind of boxed themselves in last year. Like, well, we can't change this now that we've said this. This year, they at least keep it open that they could change these things. So it'll be interesting to watch. I think this is 2 years now where the SEC has been on the cusp in a couple of situations, kind of controversial. I think this is the push that they all need on this thing to make it go to 16, which I don't want to see. I hope it doesn't get to 16, but I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. That's what the SEC and the Big Ten.
And then we're arguing about 17 at that point.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
We'll just keep at it. Yeah.
Like, at least we're arguing about teams with 2 losses now and not like, unbeaten Florida State needs to be kept out of this thing. So this is an improvement. Don't get me wrong. This is an improvement of what it was before. But, if you've lost 2 games at this point, you kind of only have yourself to blame.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I don't feel too sorry for any of these teams.
No, I'm with you. The head-to-head, the way a lot of folks are just discounting head-to-head the Miami Notre Dame game when the schedules are very similar. If you break them down and you see Notre Dame had a couple big games and they didn't win either one of them, and one of them Miami, and yet they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's bizarre. Sometimes I think the old BCS system was onto something, as much as that was criticized.
Well, the other dumb part is they're like, oh, Miami lost to 2 unranked teams, as if SMU and Louisville are like the dregs of college football. It's like they didn't lose to,
right.
Like Virginia Tech and Boston College or something like that. Like SMU is a pretty good team. They were right there at the end of the ACC, and Louisville at the time had its running back, had its quarterback, pretty good team. So I just the way they treat these losses, like good loss if you're anywhere in the top 25, and all of a sudden it's a terrible loss if you're outside of the top 25. It's like the team 24 and 26 ranked are not that different. They're the same team basically. So this idea that they cite top 25 losses or wins or like that, it seems asinine to me.
As you were watching last weekend, the game, wanting to watch games, but yet we got this just relentless Lane Kiffin coverage. That network lowered itself to a new level. What were your thoughts? Just constant, and Marty Smith having nothing to report, although he was attached to Lane's hip. What were your thoughts watching all that? Like the constant attention to Lane Kiffin as if he's, I don't know, Vince Lombardi of college football.
Yeah, well, I think that, it's obviously an important story because there's a guy in the playoff moving to another school within the conference like that. So I understand the attention on him. And you had Lane Kiffin to it, and he's a magnet for criticism and attention and all that stuff. I think ESPN's framing of it, from College Game Day to everything else, it seemed like all their personalities were arguing the same thing. It's like, poor Lane Kiffin being thrust into this situation. It's like, are you kidding me?
I know.
He is doing this himself. He doesn't need to leave for this job. This like concerted effort from Nick Saban and Kirk Herbstreit and all these guys who go on TV and say this is unfair to Lane Kiffin. It's like, no, it's not. He's going to get $14 million, whatever it is, from LSU. It's unfair to Ole Miss, is what it is.
That's exactly right.
And then just be like, oh, we need to adjust the entire calendar. It's like, you can't, guys, you can't. There is still, ostensibly an academic component to this whole thing. You are tied to the academic calendar. That's why this stuff is happening now. That's why I think the transfer portal happening in January is unfair to the players, if I'm being honest. They have to decide where they're going to school like one day before the semester starts. Why is that process all of a sudden convenient for coaches, but now it's inconvenient for players to have to do that? It seems stupid to me. So they're going to blame the calendar, but the calendar is kind of restricted by what the academic calendar is in this whole thing. So, I don't think anybody really stood out and dignified themselves too much on the 4-letter network covering this whole Lane Kiffin thing over the weekend.
And the fact that they were all represented by the same agency. That didn't have anything to do with it either. But no, they don't have to disclose any of that. It's just all the guys there. Yes, Saban thinks he's saying things profound, but all he's doing is turning into one of those guys. But anyway.
Yeah. Lane, by the way, Saban, who's like, he should be allowed to coach the teams. Like, you fired him because he couldn't coach the team.
Exactly.
When they were going to the national championship. Come on now.
But in any event, how do you see it going Saturday night? Is UVA going to take care of it? Beat up on Duke pretty well on the road during the season. Now, I know that can matter. And usually, rematches are a little different. But what do you think about the Cavs' chances on Saturday night?
I think UVA wins, but it's the ACC, man. Anytime you think you have it figured out, they switch up what goes on. I mean, it's the Rowdy Piper of conferences. Every time you think you have the answers, I change the questions. That should be the ACC's motto from now on. I'm giving them that one. They should use that.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Every time you think it's good, it's like, okay, it's gonna be easy for the ACC here. They make it not easy, and I can see them making it not easy in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, man, listen, thanks for breathing through how bad you feel. I appreciate it. Great stuff as always, and great coverage as always here. Now we await the news of the coaching staff going forward here in the next, it's got to be the next day or two, I would think. So
I would think so. I think we're going to start hearing stuff soon.
All right, brother. I hope you feel better, man. Thanks, AB.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate you, man. There you go. Good stuff, Andy Bitter. He got through the cough just fine, didn't he? Thanks, Andy. Thank you. Good stuff. It's funny. I'm going to have to delete the comment, Jim, but you made me laugh. All right. Hey, lights out. What's up? Go Cowboys, Ohio State, another national title. The Reluctant says, I'm only hoping for a redeeming season in reading the chance to read the Sabre form if Duke wins this weekend. But let me ask you, because, Andy pretty much laid it out. If Duke wins, the ACC is likely not going to have any representation in the tournament. Even if you're a Tech fan and you hate UVA, is that what you want? And I'm just asking you that question. I'm not telling you your opinion's wrong, but is that what you would rather have? Your league not represented at all? Because they're not going to put Miami in over Notre Dame, even though Miami beat them. I disagree with it 100%. But it's Notre Dame. They continue to get the benefit of the doubt without having to go through any kind of conference regularity for, the duration of everyone else. So would you rather have Virginia not win and have no ACC team and have that ridicule and have that asterisk on your conference going forward that could come back when, say, Virginia Tech gets to that level under James Franklin. So let me ask you, what good does that do the ACC, not only now, for the future? So let me know your thoughts. I'm curious. And then if it were the other way around, if this was UVA fan, I'm asking, with Tech playing for an ACC title. The reluctant one says, I'm only hoping for a redeeming season. Reading the chance to read the Sabre Forum if Duke wins this weekend. Wayne says, yes, he'd rather leave them out versus smug Virginia fan winning first title. No, the ACC definitely needs to get in. I'm just sad in Tech fan fantasy land. Hey, Ryan Pry. I think it's all about the conference at this point. Getting shut out of the playoff would cost everyone money. Correct. I'm a lifelong UVA fan, Jeff says, but I'd be pulling for the Hokies if things were reversed. Yeah. Do you really think it matters, Eddie? I think it's a huge problem for the ACC, and it just validates so much of how ESPN looks at them as opposed to their relationship with the SEC. If they're completely left out of this thing. And I think Andy's right on the money. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. If Duke wins the game, they're going to be jumped by other teams. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I don't know. It's your opinion, right? It's your fandom. There's no wrong answer if that's how you feel. But for me, I would, as much as it's a bitter rival, I think it'd be tough to sit there and watch the conference that your school plays in, that you root for, or that you graduated from, and that league not be represented. Completely just left out, an afterthought to the national party. It almost makes you feel like a mid-major, right? So my answer would be, and I don't have a, dog in the fight, would be, yeah, I would want UVA to win just because I'd want the conference to be there. But that's the first thing that I would say. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Yeah, what was Eddie talking about? That's right, Christmas Vacation. That's my one guilty pleasure of movies. Yeah, if the Who's win, problem solved. If JMU gets in over the ACC, we'll never hear the end of it. Yeah, that's the other part of this thing. Not only will the ACC be omitted, not only would they be omitted, they'd be jumped by, an in-state school from a G5 league, potentially. Whew. Brian says it will make me nauseous, but I guess I'm going for the Who's. To hell with UVA. I got a text message on the text line. Everybody will be doing something different anyway. Yeah, when the next realignment comes, it's going to be very interesting. Notre Dame is ACC. It's harder for Notre Dame to validate this year than in past years, isn't it? Especially if they do get in, they're going to jump over a team that beat them on the field. David Teel going to join us here in about 10 minutes, by the way. So let me look this up here. Notre Dame. What is Notre Dame's best wins this year? They lost to Miami to start the season. They lost to Texas A&M. They beat Purdue. They won at Arkansas, but of course they replaced their coach. Boise State, NC State, USC. That's a good win. Beat BC. It's a good Navy team, but they always beat up on Navy. The win at Pitt. 70 against Syracuse, and then they beat Stanford. So no earth-shattering wins, right? Nothing earth-shattering anyway. Miami beat Notre Dame. Bethune-Cookman. Yeah. Beat South Florida when South Florida was undefeated. Beat them like a drum. Remember that game? That surprised me, that result, especially 49-12. Beat Florida, won at Florida State. Lost to Louisville by 3. Crushed Stanford, lost to SMU. Beat Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and then they destroyed Pitt last weekend. So they have, 3 losses. Or 2 losses, I'm sorry. 2 losses. The Louisville SMU game. So I don't know. You tell me. What do you think resume-wise? Yep. Yeah. NBC baseball game of the week. That's why I became a Padres fan, David. They played the Dodgers one year when I was growing up. Dave Winfield was a Padre, wearing the mustard and brown. That's exactly why I became a Padres fan. I didn't know anything about him. Tebow says UVA may beat Duke, but they'll get crushed to the playoff. Total frauds. Well, I don't know, man. 10 wins is 10 wins. Best win was a 1-point loss to Texas A&M. Yeah, I guess. Oh, the Dodgers, don't get me started. Best team money can buy. Deferred payments, Major League Baseball. That's all you need to know. Yeah, I think so too, Paul. USC was the best win for Notre Dame, looking at that. When we just went around the round table there. Sending Teel his invite here. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. My first answer would be that it's more important the league is not left out. Even if you're a Tech fan and you hate to sit there and bite the bullet that it's UVA, you want to think about this for your own future while you're still in that league. It's just going to be an awful look going forward. And I would think maybe recruits would pay attention to that, especially if they're getting similar dollar offers from other leagues. Wait a minute. So the ACC was left out of the playoff? Guys want to showcase themselves. They want an opportunity to be on a championship team that's going to be, highlighted in a national game. It's crazy. Just absolutely crazy. It's crazy that everyone who's in bed with the SEC and the Big Ten, I'll tell you what's going to be interesting. I'm going to let Coach Elmation, I don't want to spill his thunder. He and I had a great conversation yesterday, how he views the future setup of college football. And he's not even looking at it from a conference perspective. He's looking at it from a television network perspective. I'm going to let him on Monday bring that up. Coach, if you're watching, I'm not going to take your thunder away, but man, it was a great point. Great point. UVA plays too good a defense to lose by 50 in a playoff. Boy. That's a good defensive football team. That's kept them around in some of these games, And they've stepped up when they've needed to. They can play some defense now. They got good defensive coach. That's a good defensive coaching staff. I think the ACC championship game will decide the ACC coach of the year, Elliott or Diaz. I think it's going to be Tony Elliott regardless, right? I mean, you think about Tony Elliott's been in worse situations with what he brought UVA through. And I think no matter we're talking about games, which is great, and you're talking about a championship game, but you think about what happened right after he got there. And just the senseless, cold-blooded murder of 3 of his football players on the bus. I can't even begin to imagine how he even picked up the pieces of that program and kept going. I thought he handled that with so much class and poise. And now here he has them, a few years later playing for a championship. Right? I know, Tebow, you hate everything about UVA. I get it. But the bottom line is they're playing in the championship game. I don't like the system either. System's messed up. They need to look at the tiebreaker. Miami not having any chance. I think pretty much we know with our eyes Miami's the most dynamic team in the ACC. And they're going to be left out. That Louisville game, I think was that a Friday night game? Just that harmless Friday night game against Louisville is likely going to cost them dearly. But I think we watch Miami and we can see when they're on, they're the best team. But when is college football during those playoffs, whether it was the BCS or whether it was just 4 teams getting in, when has it always been about the best teams, right? It's always been about one thing or the other that gets in the way: politics, TV ratings, money. System's messed up. It's getting more criticism now than ever before. The committee gets lambasted. It's that people spend a lot of time on it. I mean, it's pretty clear what ESPN and that relationship with the SEC has done to college football. They're not going to rest unless 4 SEC teams get in. And that's why they want to push more expansion to get even more SEC teams in. That's why everybody's watching that Big 12 game, right, with BYU and Texas Tech. The arguments being used because it's the SEC and all this. But I think it's going to be a bad look if the ACC is just left out of this thing. I really do. But I get it. If you're a Tech fan and you hate your rival, you don't care. And I understand that. Trust me, I get it 100%. I understand where Tebow's coming from. And Wayne, I get it. But again, right now, you're part of that same league, and this could be Virginia Tech in a year. And I brought this up at work. People said, "Oh, you're just being a homer." I said, "No, I really think next year." Tell me if you think I'm crazy. The ACC is obviously up for grabs, right? Why couldn't James Franklin's first team be an immediate contender for the ACC? Like UVA rose from the ashes this year, and they have this great season. Why couldn't Tech do that? Right? Anyway, I think they can. I think they could. We'll talk more about that. Joining us now on the program, there he is, the Hall of Famer, David Teel. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, David.
Good morning, Rick.
Man, you've been busy. My goodness gracious. So many great pieces you put out. You're getting your flowers from all over the country. It's been awesome. I see people like quoting your tweets and your articles about the state of what's going on in college football, recruiting. First of all, we'll get into that. You were over there yesterday in Blacksburg. Everything that's gone on with James Franklin, getting those guys from Penn State to come to Blacksburg and so forth. Yep. What's some of your take about all that?
Rick, it's a pretty remarkable rise in less than 3 weeks. As Virginia Tech and many of us have noted, when James Franklin arrived in Blacksburg, Virginia Tech's recruiting class was ranked 124th in the country, and this morning you wake up and the Hokies are number 22. That's pretty meteoric. And as you mentioned, 11 Penn State commitments followed him to Virginia Tech, but he also retained 7 of the 9 pledges from the previous regime, Brent Pry and his group. And then he brought in some flips from Kentucky and Wisconsin and Syracuse and James Madison and Oklahoma. So there's your 22 right there, and it's an impressive group. And I'm as skeptical of recruiting rankings, perhaps more so than most.
Me too. Yeah.
But given that Franklin was operating without a full staff and operating in a space, Virginia Tech, where he probably doesn't even know where the cafeteria is, how he and his support staff that came with him from Penn State, at least 8 strong, were able to pull this off is pretty remarkable.
It is. And I have a lot of questions about it. And I'm going to ask you this question. I'm sure you don't know either. You may, but they're asking, how much money do you think was spent yesterday by James Franklin? We don't know, because nothing has to be disclosed because there's no rules. We don't know how much, right? We have no idea.
No. And I would think, Rick, perhaps less than people would think. Because number one, James Franklin has been at this long enough, and his general manager, Andy Frank, that they have a salary structure. And a large share of that is going to be spent in the portal.
Yes, absolutely.
That is where Virginia Tech is really going to invest and needs to invest. For as impressive a group as this may be on paper, most of these young men are not going to be contributing next season.
That's right.
At least on Saturday afternoons. So where the big investment is going to come is in the portal. And that's what Virginia did in the offseason. That's what Texas Tech clearly did, and others. And you have seen the benefits.
Well, I agree 100%. And the quarterback's going to be a big fit. It's hard, as Andy just pointed out before, that, we don't know about who the coordinators are yet. We don't know the coaching staff. So we don't really know what the offense and defense is going to look like. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint or focus in on who in the portal they might be, a kind of approach at that crucial position.
No question. And James Franklin used the word multiple times yesterday, and always kind of grates me a little bit because I think it's a very overused word, but I don't believe in this case it is unique, because I don't think we've ever seen the confluence of a September coaching dismissal, Brent Pry, followed by a completely out of the blue October firing, James Franklin, those schools then coming together before the end of the season, giving James Franklin, who already had a recruiting class essentially in his hip pocket, and giving him 2 weeks to get them on campus before an earlier than ever signing day. I mean, we've had the December signing day for a while, but it's never been this early.
Right.
So while Auburn and Florida and Arkansas and LSU and Penn State still doesn't have a coach, while they were just wrapping up their searches, James Franklin has been on the ground working it. And that was an immeasurable advantage for Virginia Tech. And to my memory, we've never seen anything like this. And I don't know that we ever will again, because I think if the powers that be are smart, they're going to back this signing day off a little bit, because having it during championship week just strikes me as preposterous.
Agreed. Well, it doesn't surprise me. The people that make the decisions regarding college athletics, right?
Right.
And I think about you all the time, because you've covered this so long. You've seen this evolution. It's so ugly. It's so unfortunate where it all is. And then last weekend, ESPN rose to a news low. The whole Lane Kiffin fiasco and the constant coverage and all that. I mean, your thoughts on just you have these guys on the set of Game Day who have the same agent compromising themselves, trying to build up what should happen and dictate what should happen. And I'm thinking, what's Teel thinking about right now, watching all this?
Well, I think like everyone else, I was a little bit of a voyeur, and like, it's like OJ going down the highway in his Bronco. I mean, what's Lane doing now? And Google it, kids, if you don't know what I'm talking about with the white Bronco.
That's right.
But yeah, ESPN and its drumbeat to let Lane coach in the playoffs. Spare me.
Unbelievable.
And of course, ESPN wants Lane Kiffin in the playoffs. He's ratings catnip. And it is so different from Tulane, North Texas, and James Madison, which, if they make the playoff, will allow their outgoing coach to work in the postseason.
Right.
Because their coaches aren't going to conference rivals. It's so different. And, Lane has been such a diva, and Ole Miss was absolutely within its rights and wise to punt him to the curb as soon as he told them that he was going to Baton Rouge.
Right. Don't blame them in any way, shape, or form. And it's funny, the players and now the AD saying, no, none of what – they're trying not to come out and being all angry about it, but they're saying, no, none of that recollection is what happened, what Lane's going around saying, But anyway, it is what it is. So UVA. For me, what Tony Elliott has done is nothing short of remarkable. I want to get your take on this. And I talked about it a little while ago. And I keep going back to what he inherited and then the tragedy. And you and I talked about it and how he got that program through it.
Mm-hmm.
An ambassador of class, dignity, showed you how dedicated he was to those young men, even many he didn't really know yet. And to have them 3 years later, regardless of, and I get a lot of pushback from especially Tech fans, hey, they did this through the portal. It's not going to sustain itself. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's true. Maybe that's not true. But all I know is that football team rose from the ashes of an unspeakable tragedy, and they're playing for a championship Saturday night.
They are, and it is remarkable, and it's poignant, and it's human. And the first thing Tony Elliott did Saturday night, Rick, after the Cavaliers beat the Hokies, when he came into the interview room, was he kind of caught his voice and composed himself, and he thanked the mothers of the 3 young men who were murdered. And you think about it was 3 Novembers ago when the shootings occurred. And then less than 2 weeks before the Cavaliers are set to kick off against the Hokies with the ACC championship game berth on the line for Virginia, justice was served, and the perpetrator was sentenced to 5 consecutive life terms in prison. And that was a difficult week for the program. Tony Elliott spent a day in court. And so, bringing back all the memories, and then they turned around and defeated their nemesis and secured a berth in the ACC championship game. And it's a fabulous story. And I expect them to close the deal Saturday night in Charlotte against a 7-5 opponent, that's another story.
Yes, it is. It is. The Hall of Famer, David Teel, joining us on the program. So many things. When I see UVA, obviously that defense stands out. They are so well coached. And Phil Almation talks about, you watch them tackle. Watch the way that they play on defense. Of course, being a defensive guy, of course, he's going to watch it. But Chandler Morris, that addition and what he has been in his 4th school, that has been the biggest difference. We're just talking about that with, potentially James Franklin's going to have to nail the quarterback spot. Well, Tony Elliott finally had NIL dollars, and he found the guy to stir that drink in Charlottesville.
Well, I found a guy that he's known since he was a child.
Exactly.
I mean, Chad Morris and Tony Elliott are longtime co-workers and friends, and Chandler Morris is Chad's son. And that confluence worked in the Cavaliers' favor. But let's not lose sight of what else Virginia landed in the portal, Rick. Jamari Taylor, the running back, he is the first Cavalier running back to be first team All ACC in 21 years. And he may end up being the first Cavalier to lead the league in rushing since 2000. And that's pretty wild. And they recruited through the portal several offensive linemen, and perhaps most important on the defensive side, a slew of secondary guys who have both at corner and safety, who have buttoned up a pass defense that for years has been problematic. And you look at Virginia's trend line, not a single opponent has scored more than 21 points on the Cavaliers since early October. And they are really playing elite defense, granted, against, again, a not great schedule.
Right.
And Virginia Tech's offense was clearly compromised Saturday night, absent the leading rusher, absent the best receiver. And it showed.
I put the question out there today for Tech fans, and a lot of them said, hey, they don't want UVA to win, but what would it mean for this league if Duke wins and the ACC is shut out? I think that's a far worse fate than saying, hey, your arch rival finishes the deal and shows up there during the tournament.
Rick, that would be something that leaves a permanent scar.
Exactly.
It would be the second permanent playoff scar in 3 years.
That's right.
To think that 2 years ago, Florida State becomes the first undefeated Power Four champion to be left out of 14 playoff, and then to think that the ACC would be the first Power Four conference excluded from a 12-team playoff. And Manny Diaz can lobby as much as he'd like for his potentially 8-5 Duke Blue Devils to be in the college football playoff over a 12-1 Sun Belt champion,
right?
And James Madison and Jim Phillips can join that chorus as well. I would certainly hope and think that those pleas would fall on deaf ears in Grapevine, Texas, where the selection committee is going to be ensconced this weekend.
What can the league do to prevent this reseed? What do you think? I mean, can they do something to reseed the way the tiebreaker's done, or is this just the way it plays out, with the way things are set up now?
Well, two things, Rick. Number one, the tiebreaker is imperfect. And number two, what I haven't seen a lot of people mention is that the ACC has the same tiebreaker as the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Big 12. It's like they were all in class and copied off each other's paper. And it's a problem because it comes down to this bizarre metric of what is the combined conference record of all your conference opponents. They're trying to come up with a strength of conference schedule metric. And that's how the SEC had to resolve its four-way tie atop its conference to get Georgia and Alabama into the title game Saturday afternoon in Atlanta. What no one could have foreseen is that one of your teams tied for first place, i.e. Duke, would be so bad in the non-conference.
Right.
Duke's only non-conference win is against an FCS opponent.
Right.
Duke got run by Illinois. Duke lost at UConn, and I know UConn is 9-3, but look at who UConn played.
That's right. That's right.
And Duke also lost at Tulane. And no one can convince me that a 5-loss team belongs in a 12-team playoff. I don't care what league you win. And what the ACC has to do, is it cannot allow, it has to have some parameters that a consensus top 15 team, such as Miami, cannot be excluded from lose a tiebreaker to a team that is unranked. You just can't have it.
Right.
Miami should be playing Virginia in the ACC championship game. Case closed. Not that they should have changed the rules midstream like NASCAR, but in the future, you need to prevent this from happening.
100%. And everybody would be on board. This thing would be big. The ratings, I mean, you're right. The Miami Virginia game, I mean, that would change. It would already feel like it's part of the playoffs, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, the ACC game is going to get trounced in the ratings regardless, because Indiana, Ohio State 1 versus 2. Now, it's not high stakes, but it's Ohio State, which is the most watched program in the country, playing another undefeated team for a conference championship.
Right. So. David, we're jumping around here because you're that good. I know you can. Bob Chesney, you and I both know Matt Rowan. I've talked to him a lot off the air. I don't share a lot of that stuff, but this has been going on a while, his dance with UCLA, and it's going to happen. And your thoughts on that? I mean, there's so much like why we don't know anybody's personal. I always try to preface that, we don't know people's personal motivations. We can't sit there and dictate how they feel about something, but I'm happy for him. I know Maddie's happy for him, but can he jump? I know he can, but is UCLA going to be a place that you see Bob Chesney going in and going, okay, we're going to turn around a school that really doesn't seem to care much about football, even though they're in the Big Ten?
Well, it'll all hinge on resources now, won't it?
Yeah.
And that'll be the key. And do I think that had Bob Chesney been more patient, that he could have done better than UCLA? Yeah, I kind of think he could have.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the same thing about Kurt Cignetti in Indiana.
I know.
And we all see how that turned out. He's killing it. And, we'll see if he can sustain it. But, man, 2 years running, he's gotten the job done and then some. And who knows? Maybe Chesney is a beach guy and he wants to go out to SoCal and soak it all up. I mean, he's certainly got the head of hair and the Hollywood looks.
He's got the looks. Yeah.
He is not going to be out of place in Westwood now.
No, he's not. Well, I'm happy for him. I mean, he's done such a great job at every stop, and I think that's kind of led it to him, right? He's been every level. He's poured himself into it. He's got him back up and winning. He's continued what Cignetti did. And now maybe he just looks at this, okay, I've arrived now. I've paid my due. It's time to go take a Power 4 job. So I get it. I get that part of it. I really do.
Well, and plus he's probably going to multiply his salary by 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah.
Who among us would turn that down?
I know. And why not? He's going to have a lot of latitude out there, right? You come here, hey, you help us. Just like Indiana. They had no pedigree at all either. You're right, in football. Yeah. Wow.
And it'll be interesting to see how his team plays Friday night. They're a 3-touchdown favorite. I've seen Troy in person. I've seen James Madison in person. I don't think it's going to be much of a game.
No. Dukes are good. And man, I hope they get in there. I hope they squeeze into that playoff so badly for so many different reasons. And I know you do, being an alum. It's possible, right? It's possible.
Well, the only way they get in is if Duke beats Virginia.
Correct.
And
that's true.
I think either way, the state of Virginia is going to have a college football playoff team.
It's true.
That's pretty cool.
That's very, very cool. Very, very cool. And I think it'll be UVA. But
I do too.
Yeah. Well, I know you'll be there, right? You'll be ready to rock and roll. And thanks for everything, man. And great. I know you hear this a lot, but just great coverage. It's just following you. It's like, sitting down to a comfortable Thanksgiving meal and knowing you're going to be fed well. We've got the guy that we need covering all this, whether it's Tech, UVA, ACC Madness, playoff, whatever it might be. We can always go to David Teel. It means a lot, man. So
thanks, man. Be in Harrisonburg tomorrow night and Charlotte on Saturday.
Oh, I know. It's going to be great, man. We can't wait to see your reaction to it. Thanks, brother. Safe travels.
All right, Rick. Be well.
All right, you too. Great stuff. From the best, man. David Teel. Right? That's just the way you feel about it. He's just the absolute best. It's just I gotta get D Vick his invitation here. Here we go. He'll understand though, because he has an immense amount of respect as well for David Teel. There we go. We're going to segue out from Andy Bitter, David Teel to Dwight Vick here in just a second. I've missed a lot of chat. I know. I'm sorry. Chat's great. By the way, thanks everybody who stops by and chat. It means a lot. Sponsored by McClellan Chiropractic. I love the chat, and I really appreciate the text messages. Look, you may disagree with me. I don't care. It's great. I don't hold anything personal. I hope you don't ever either. But you're what makes this whole thing plausible to me, and I really appreciate it. And I hope you subscribe and get people to subscribe. But just being here and being part of the show, those of you in chat and those of you on the text line, that's why I'm doing this. It means a lot. It really does. And I appreciate everybody's opinion. I'm not going to sit there and, ever dissuade it. I mean, if you disagree, that's great. If we have disagreements, that means you're doing your job. You're talking about different things, different perspectives. I wrote about this in the Patriot a few weeks ago, It's about learning from people. You may come at me with something different. I go, you know what? I didn't think about it that way. That's fine. So I do mean that. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's cool. Regardless of what the topic may be. And don't worry, David, we're going to talk about Saturday afternoon wrestling. Those are usually the shows that last. Those are usually the show that lasts during the summer when there's not a lot going on. I saw Dwight. Then he popped off. I wonder if I have to send him another invite. Let me send you another invite, Dwight, if you're watching. Dwight was here, and now he's not. And sometimes that means that the link that I sent broke. So we'll try again. And there it is. I sent him a new link, and there he is. The man himself, the quintessential source for all things Tech football, Dwight Vick. What's up, DB?
Hey, what's up? Good morning. Good morning.
We missed you last week. Hey, how was your Thanksgiving, by the way?
It was good. I was blessed. I keep it simple, man. Family, friends. My son went down to see him play. He wasn't feeling well. Him and my youngest daughter was sick. So I was trying to enjoy them, but also not get sick. So was able to just watch him play basketball and have some good food. And it's a good holiday, watch some football. Enjoyed most of the games except the one Saturday night.
Well, let's start there.
That was tough to watch.
Yeah, and I thought about you a lot. I was gonna reach out to you, and it went so poorly. I said, no, I know what's going through his mind here, and I know that game means so much to you and to all Tech alums, all the former Hokies that are watching. And that was the first time Phil Montgomery's team didn't show up, and it really surprised me in a game, that was pretty big for Tech to try to salvage some things and knock Virginia out, of a title game. But yet they just didn't show up, did they, at all?
No, you had drop passes, bad penalties. I think the thing that upset me, and I tweeted it, what bothered me a lot was the fact that I didn't know if it was a silent protest or what, but Virginia Tech did no trick plays. There was no innovation on offense. I thought the defense was playing extremely well. I mean, you give up an early turnover, the offense is driving. Drones, they run the ball well, and, he throws a pass, kind of his fault, kind of not his fault. It got tipped and picked. UVA does what UVA does. They score, and then they go up 7-0. Offense gets the ball back. I mean, but if you're not going to pass the ball, I know UVA has a solid to good secondary, but you didn't even make any attempts early in the game and really throughout the game. Your defense can't sustain that long with the lack of depth and talent they have. I just was disappointed, and I was disappointed in Coach Monty. There was no packages for Pop Watson. all year. This goes back to even when Pryor was there. They had no packages for him. Again, I'm not saying bench Jones, but I'm just saying when you're 3-8 or 3-7, or you're just not a good team, you let it all out. You know, by midnight you're going to be unemployed. So why not go out with a bang? Why not? You know, here's the summary of what I'm saying. UVA is right where they earned to be. You know, you can talk about their schedule, how they didn't play any of the tough teams in the ACC. Regardless, they're there. They earned it. But Tech didn't make them earn that last game.
No. No.
Offensively, you were vanilla. It was like a spring game being televised on the road. You did nothing, nothing different. It was disgusting, and I really feel like it was a silent protest. I do. I feel like they showed up, they called the plays, and then they left. And no one can tell me any different because I've coached, I've played, I've been in games when I'm the favorite. And I had to earn that win. Even like in 2008, when Virginia Tech went to the conference championship with the young Tyrod Taylor, they went 8-4 that year. They beat UVA at home 17-14. This is the game when UVA's quarterback was hurt, and they put Vick Hall at quarterback. Tech only won 17-14. There's been other times when Tech only won 10-0 at UVA. So it's not like Tech has always blown UVA out. There's been times when, you know, UVA has many times they've made Tech earn it. And I just felt like Virginia Tech did not make UVA earn it. And offensively, I thought the defense played hard. I know they had a lot of drops. They had some young receivers in there, Heath and the other kids. They had a lot of drops, which was surprising. But at that point in the season, it's tough. You know, Franklin's coming in, you know, a new staff is coming in. It's just one of those things, man, where, you know, they didn't get it done. And kudos to UVA. Congratulations to Tony Elliott, his staff. I'm not a hater. It's a rivalry game, but, you know, they were the better team this year, and they were the better program this year.
It's interesting, you know, and leave it to you to bring up something now that's got me thinking really big here. Yeah, silent protest. It's interesting. I know for a fact that, you know, it's hard, but, you know, Montgomery wasn't pleased with all the noise with the Franklin being introduced and all that, and him wanting to talk to the team. We know that. Do you think maybe some of it had played into that? I'm just asking. You mentioned silent protest. It's got me thinking. I think maybe. What do you think?
Yeah. See, again, it's my job to make people think because nobody probably thought that. But
you are.
I'm just saying, if you watch that game, if anybody in the chat thinks I'm wrong, please tell me, because go back and even though we were 3-8, if you look at that game, how many times did you watch that game and say, what are we doing? What is this? Why would you call that? Why wouldn't you go for it on 4th and 1? It was embarrassing. It was an embarrassing loss. It wasn't like, I'm not talking about the players. Players, they're going to go and do what they do. Drones is limited as a quarterback. But then again, if you have Pop or even the third string quarterback, bring him in for a pass. Maybe Drones runs it. The other quarterbacks pass it. You did nothing. There was no wildcat, a.k.a. wild turkey. There were no new formations. On 3rd down, they went shotgun. And everybody knew one time on 3rd down when they went empty set, they were going to do a quarterback draw. Everybody knew, including the announcers. I go back to the Wake Forest game I watched on TV. The Wake Forest game, I'm pretty sure the announcer says, hey, you know, Coach Monty's doing a great job. He got these guys locked in, and he was told that he's going to have an interview, and he felt like, you know, he still has a chance to get the job. Subsequently, a few weeks after that, you know, the rumors got louder and the noise got louder, and it was Franklin. And all of a sudden, you know, you hear the guys over at Tech Sideline saying that Andy Bitter and Chris and those guys say that, you know, after the Miami game, I think it was David Teel on your show as well, said that Monty did not look like he wanted to be in the post-game presser.
Yeah.
When you are a coach and you're paid very good money, most money we don't make, I don't care for nothing. You still do your job. You still motivate those guys. And I shouted him out last week on Twitter because I felt throughout this whole thing, he's been a first-class guy. He kept the team together. There wasn't a lot of kids jumping in the portal. I don't even think anybody jumped in the portal. So he deserves all the credit. But when you play that game of that magnitude, which means so much to the Commonwealth and the people in the stands that drove, my sister was there, my nephew, everyone knows, is committed to play at UVA. He's a safety, a junior at Bethel High School. When you got kids coming and just want to see a game, a battle, it's a rivalry game. You get one shot every year, one shot as a player. You don't just go out there and leave it out there to be questioned, right? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've defended a lot of coaches, sometimes coaches that probably shouldn't have been defended. I've defended players because I've been on that side of the fence when as a player. But I have never in my life seen a game coached that way offensively, ever. When you have that much talent, even though there's some guys not playing, I know Green didn't play. You have other guys on scholarship. You have Coney. You have other running backs. You could do different things. And, it is what it is now. We move on to the Franklin era. But that game will always bother me because I just didn't understand what I was watching. When you can't pass the ball, but you got another quarterback, Pop can pass, and then you got the other kid, the other third-stringer quarterback, bring him in. I don't think UVA was expecting that. Maybe you surprised them. All I wanted to see was Tech make them earn that win. And by the third quarter, really the second quarter, when it's 14-0, I said, Tech has no shot. They are not going to win this game. Yeah, it was weird. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and it was unacceptable.
And now that era is over, and James Franklin yesterday got a lot more flips. He brought in just about all those Penn State guys he had committed, to Virginia Tech. It's going to be a while before those guys contribute. Going to find out, in the portal what this team's going to look like more. Coaches have to be announced, and I don't know. I've gotten some info that doesn't look like very many, if any, of the coaches are going to come back. Maybe one, maybe two. I don't know. That's it. So it's going to be a whole new vibe, man, heading forward. And what were some of your thoughts about yesterday? And how do you see this initial impact going on the field? Because I know you look at things from a bigger perspective than, a lot of people do.
I'm very excited about the recruits. I'm very, very excited that we're getting so many 4 and high 3 stars. I love the fact that it's nice to have Virginia Tech's name mentioned on the national media, ESPN alerts, and all the CBS Sports and 247, and be trending on Twitter. And for the first time in years, we're not the program being ridiculed and criticized. It was Penn State yesterday. And for the record, let me go on, because when I tweet something now, I've never had this many Penn State fans in my mentions. I've never interacted with Penn State Twitter. It's like, I'm not trolling y'all. Y'all, if you didn't want him and you call him a lame duck coach, why do you care that we're excited about what he's doing for us? You had that opportunity. I've gone on record and said they were very premature in firing Franklin because they responded emotionally, and it's going to cost them. They'll get a good coach, and they're not going to fall off the map. But at the same time, it's hard to recreate that success. See Virginia Tech, see Florida State, see a lot of programs that were once here and dropped because of coaching decisions and emotional reactions or lack of reaction. Here's my take on Franklin. I think he's going to continue to recruit well. I think the portal, he's going to do even better. He's got to get a quarterback. I know they got the one kid, the 4-star commit. I'm talking about a mature, established quarterback in the portal. They got to get a quarterback. And he's got to win. UVA's better. I've always said for the last 20-plus years, Virginia Tech could be complacent and do what they do because UVA did not make them sweat. UVA never really took advantage of lean years that Virginia Tech had. They went through their own struggles with coaching decisions, lack of football financially, and even on the field. They were just happy, more of a soccer, baseball, basketball school. They didn't seem like they cared about football. Now they seem like they have a newfound energy. Surprisingly, they didn't sell out that game. My sister was there. I still don't understand why they don't sell out. The best team you fielded in 30 years would sell out.
I know.
But
I know.
Again, Tony Elliott is a first-class guy. He's done a great job, as you and David discussed after the tragedy. Franklin has to come in and reassure Tech fans, not just with recruiting, but wins. You have a chance, to me, when you host this year coming up, this upcoming season, you host JMU and you host ODU. You have to win those games convincingly. I think JMU and ODU will both be in tough situations depending on what happens with ODU's coach. But I know JMU is going to be rebuilding, and they've done it well the last 2 cycles when they lost 2 great coaches. But I think for some reason this time around it's not going to be as easy. And I just think Franklin's got to win, because I've seen this movie before when it comes to not just at Tech but other places. When you get a great coach, the energy's good, everybody's excited. Then you have one unexpected loss, or you have a 2-game losing streak. The same tweets that praise you will be the ones that asking for you to be fired.
That's right.
So, but I do think he's going to do well. I thought Pry was going to do well, and he had moments where he did. I think the ego and decision-making got in the way, and a lot of that was with the assistants he hired. So you mentioned the coaches that aren't going to be retained. I hate that for some of those guys, because 3 or 4 of those guys are my Tech brothers. But I don't know who's going to – we'll find out who they are. But I will say for Franklin, a lot like with Pry and even Fuente, is going to depend on his assistants. Everybody talks about Coach Frank Beamer and what he did during the golden era, and how he built a great program. A lot of it had to do with his assistants, from his training staff to his right hand and Billy Height, Bud Foster, Coach Steinspring, Bustle, Almation, Grantham. He had a phenomenal assistant group, right? Same thing goes with Franklin. He's got to get his guys, but I think he will.
Yeah.
I think he will. And I think the difference is you're getting a very experienced coach, and you're getting a coach who's motivated. I tweeted this, it's got over like 900 likes now. You have a guy coming in who's been humbled, humiliated, and he's focused and motivated. And I think that is going to prove beneficial for Tech. Here's my final point to answer your question. You have 2 entities with something to prove. You have Franklin and his staff, who've been questioned, doubted, and dogged in the media. And you have Virginia Tech, a football program that has something to prove. So that is a great recipe for motivation. And you have players who have something to prove. When you have that much talent coming into the Blacksburg area and the talent that will stay, that's great. But none of that talent has won anything. You talk about legacy, behind me, my banner, Victory Life, # leave a legacy. Virginia Tech's legacy the last 5 to 7 years, minus the 7-16 that beat Tulane in the Military Bowl, has been underachieving, mediocrity, and transfer portal. We will never talk about these teams ever again.
That's right.
We will never. You can't even name some of these players, and they weren't sorry. It's just that they were losers. When you're a loser, you were like, wait a minute, what was there? You don't remember losers? I can't tell you teams I blew out. I can't say. If the kid was good, I went against, but the team itself, the culture, nobody remembers them. So the truth of the matter is, everybody in Blacksburg has a lot to prove, and that's good, because I felt like the year 21 to 22 stars return for Pry, and everybody came back making money. It was like Major League 2. Everybody started showing up, with suits and money and briefcases, and everybody was feeling good, and nobody did a damn thing but lose. And then last year, on the offseason, all we heard was, I like my team, everybody's healthy, Jones is healthy, we're motivated. And then you come out and play like you're scared to death of South Carolina, which I told y'all wasn't great. That was a winnable game. You needed a signature win. And the fans that have been dedicated to this marriage for a long time, we need new memories, and we need something to hang our hat on. Recruiting rankings are great. I used to work for 247 Sports prior. I used to work for Rivals. I don't care for the star ranking. I know talent when I see it, but I get it. It means a lot when you can say you have this many 4 stars in history. But those 4 stars have to be performed, and they have to coach. And they have to be coached, They have to be able to show that on the field. So the big question for me is, how do they look in the spring? What's the quarterback? What's your staff look like? And what are you going to do to open the season? This is a conference that is very winnable, UVA and Duke, if this was a ACC basketball weekend, this would be a great matchup.
Oh yeah.
But it's the football championship, so I don't know what to expect. It's cool, but it just shows me what I've been saying the last 5 or 6 years is that with Clemson falling off, you can win this conference, and Tech can win this conference.
Oh yeah, next year. I mean, they could be. Why not? I get a lot of pushback, but why could they not? Why could Tech not in year one? If all this talent comes together, he finds what you're talking about in the portal. They got money to do it. He's going to have the money to bring the assistants that he wants, and that's a huge, huge factor in all this. Why would they not be able to have a huge imprint next year in year one, right? Given where this league is right now.
Well, you got Louisville, who's been Jekyll and Hyde. SMU has always been, since entering the conference in the first few years, a very good team, solid team. They played for the ACC championship last year. You have Clemson, who is still good, but they're not. You're not afraid of them anymore. Miami's always been talented, but Tech has always played Miami well. 2 weeks ago, they did a great job against Miami, despite all that talent. Florida State is in disarray. Georgia Tech, they take 6 steps forward, they trip over their shoestrings because it's untied, and then they fall down the steps. I mean, I'm not going to troll every team because I'm not trolling them. My point is that if UVA can rise from the ashes after being 3-9 and 4, I mean, they've been bad, and they got 30+. My sister said, she's at the game, she said, I thought the senior night introduction was never going to end. She said they had over 37 guys being in that. So think about 30-something seniors they got in the portal. And they went from that. Now, again, the schedule set up for them very nicely. I just feel like if UVA can do it, Tech can do it. I feel like if SMU can do it, Duke can do it, Tech can do it. I feel like, and I said this on your show a few weeks ago, Tech has mismanaged talent. Their roster management and personnel groupings on game day has been atrocious. I knew how Jeffrey Overton was when we had our show when I came on for my segment after Sideline.
Yeah, you're all
Remember
over. Yep.
I said Jeffrey Overton was I've known him since he was 6 years old.
Yep.
I've known him. I coached again. I know him. He's a great kid. He's elite. He's special. And I get he was coming off an injury, but it's great that he finally saw the field. But again, you look at a kid like a kid that showed flashes. He never got to touch the ball. We had way too many running backs. We have more receivers in the Wu-Tang Clan. We have a lot of people. I mean, we got to get to the point where we manage this talent? We don't know how to manage this talent, and that's what I'm hoping Franklin can do is get the right personnel groupings on the field, challenge these kids, man, hold them accountable, man. These young men are starving for discipline and accountability. They're starving for it. Monty gave them a sip of it. But imagine if you get that from day one. See, now, again, this is Franklin's team. So I cannot wait to see how when the workouts go, the spring game is managed. I can't wait to see what they do this summer, the offseason and conditioning program. That's when you win the ACC. You don't win the ACC in the magazines and on these podcasts. You win it in the offseason, and you win it in the portal. You got to get a quarterback, Rick. They got to get a quarterback.
Got to get the quarterback.
Guy that comes in that just does whatever. They got to get a quarterback.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I mean, and one more point you made, because I brought this up to chat yesterday and today, and it's interesting, got kind of mixed comments. And David Teel just backed up what my thought is about how devastating it would be if Duke wins this game Saturday night and the ACC is left out. You've already been left out once in the past 2 years when an undefeated team didn't get any benefit of the doubt, Florida State, just because they supposedly lost their quarterback and we didn't want to put them in. And now if you have an ACC season not represented in the tournament, that's an asterisk this league won't be able to rid itself of going forward. That's why
I tell you what
needs to win,
Well, UVA needs to win, but here's the thing. And again, I'm not a lot more people I listen to, when I saw David Teel, when you told me David Teel, I rushed and I had my iPad up because I'm like, David's my guy. He covered me. He's the GOAT. So I you listen to greatness, right? Here's the thing. I'm not confident UVA gets in. I keep looking at these rankings. They're 15. They see, again, when you talk about competition, your benefit is you benefited from not playing SMU, Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, or Pittsburgh. They didn't play any of those teams, right? You didn't play Notre Dame on this ACC cycle, so you pretty much played UNC, Duke, a downtrodden Virginia Tech. You benefited from you. You went on the road and you boat raced Duke, but you didn't benefit from beating a ranked opponent or a team that you were like, wow, that was a big win. They didn't have that. I don't think UVA's national brand is respected. Every time I looked on Thanksgiving week and the 2 weeks prior, they would have UVA not listed in the 12-team bracket. I kept saying, well, where's you? I saw Miami at 11. I would see Miami. So the national media doesn't want either one of those teams. I have nothing against UVA or Duke.
No.
I'm on this show to speak the truth. I think it hurts UVA to beat a Duke team with 5 losses because no one cares about this matchup. I'm surprised the game's not being broadcasted on Snapchat. It's just not. It's just not. No one cares. So it storylines and narratives are everything. When Virginia Tech beat Boston College, it was the Matt Ryan game. Matty Ice, he came back, in Blacksburg, and you saw Jags kicking his legs and running up, and then they had the rematch. So in the ACC, there was a storyline. Virginia Tech rematch against Boston College.
Right.
You had the dynamic Tyrod Taylor, Sean Glennon quarterback rotation. Clemson has been Clemson. So, storylines are everything. If they let out a Florida State team that was undefeated, why do people assume UVA is getting in after beating a Duke team that Centerville High School could give a run to in the first half, right? So the truth of the matter is, I think it hurts UVA because they didn't get a formidable opponent. Now, all this trash I'm doing about Duke, watch Duke be leading in the fourth quarter this week. yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it goes. But
it is the way it goes.
I will say this, and I've said this to you. You and I, we're friends. We're good friends, and I've told you this on your show. JMU right now is the best program in Virginia. JMU went to UVA last year. I know that was last year and beat them, but JMU is the best program. You could talk about the Sun Belt. Listen, it's a fine line between the conferences like it used to be, and the ACC especially. Yeah. It's not like what you think. I just think, ODU and JMU are just as good, if not better, than Virginia Tech, and they could give UVA a run and even beat UVA. I don't think it's like it was in previous years. So if JMU gets in, I'm completely fine for it. I feel like that school deserves it. I hate the fact that they're now being viewed as a springboard for coaches. This is the second time they lose a great coach. Yep. I just feel like, man, I'll watch the game because I'm an ACC guy, but it's going to be weird because you look at the other games, it's almost like those Revenge of the Nerds. We can't get into that frat house. When you look at Indiana and Ohio State, you look at all the other matchups and conference championships, and then we're watching UVA and Duke, and it's not. They're going to try to hype it up, but you think about it what's the storyline? What's the narrative in this game? What do you look at? What matchups are you watching? Right? And that's what the playoff committee does. They want to see your body of work. Now I think Tony Elliott and his program deserve every bit of credit and success. And if they get in, I think that they earned it and it's well deserved. I just know, man, I've been around this game like you, Rick, a long time. I have seen teams jump, and that playoff committee guy will get right in front of everybody and say, well, guys, it was a tough decision. They will look at you and tell you whatever, and then all of a sudden they go off the air and they rush out of there. They go grab dinner, and everybody's on Twitter and the TV shows. How could you leave this team out? They beat this team. That's what they're going to do. Yep. And I'm telling you, man, it's going to, because right now, look at the rankings. UVA is ranked, 15, 14, 15?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. So a lot has to happen. Are you going to leave out Miami?
That's why they want UVA to win. If UVA wins, they'll have an excuse to leave Miami out and put Notre Dame in.
Man, listen. I'm telling you right now, man, Miami is the best team in the ACC, and it's not even close. And I'm not, again, I get nothing. I'm not a paid sponsor. They are great, but
right.
Yeah, but this is why we watch, man.
It is. It is why we watch. There's no question about it. I know one thing. If they do a Snapchat ACC broadcast, you and I are on the call, my friend. We're doing that. We're going to broadcast that, me and you. We're all over that one, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hey, before I let you go, tell me about Wingate basketball. You've got a personal interest. How's it going? Somebody asked about it the other day in chat. So,
hey, Isaiah,
how's he doing?
He finally had a freshman game last night. They took a tough loss at UVA Wise. He's been sick. I told you over Thanksgiving. He had a bad game. Didn't play great like he normally did. But I talked to him on the bus ride home. He was more mad they lost the conference. It was their conference opener. But they're 4-2. They're 4-2. I mean, he's averaging right at 15 points a game, shooting 68% from the field, 77% from the free throw line, 58% from three. He has a school record, first time in program history, a freshman has scored 30 points. 2 weeks before that, he was 19 points, 15 boards. He's not playing like a freshman until last night, but I mean, he's still killing it. He's 6'7". I was around. He looks like he's 6'8" now. But, a lot of people have asked me what's going to happen after this season. We're going to sit back and evaluate our options, but he's completely committed to Wingate right now. I love the coaches. They got a great team. I know the level they're at, it won't get the same attention as a Radford
that's a good
Virginia
league.
Tech. But the SAC is a great league. It's a great
basketball league. Yeah, it is.
And to me, the one eye-opener I learned, especially the level I played at, is with the portal now, there are more D1 guys in the SAC, whether they went down or they're going to go up than like back, 10, 12 years ago. It's not like a big difference. Like you got some 6'8", 6'9" wings. You got some guards who are 6'4", that are JUCO guys. So, so it's amazing to me how the landscape of college basketball is going. But I'm a proud father, man. Like, he's got a great following. A lot of us went down there. I mean, he had over 40 people there to see him play.
Nice.
Yeah, he's playing great, man. He's playing great. He's a great kid. He's doing well academically. And, I love all three of my kids, and I'm a proud father. He's doing stuff on the court I could never do, except if I was playing 2K or something.
Well, that's cool. So you went last night. You were down at Wise?
No. I watched.
Oh, you watched it? Okay, yeah. My son was there.
Drive.
My son goes to Wise. So he went there with some of his friends down there. So he was at the game. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, tell him Isaiah didn't do what he normally did. And Isaiah said the student section, I don't know if it was your son, but he said the student section was on him pretty bad.
I think that's where he was sitting. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably But yeah, he didn't have a normal game. But I mean, I told him, I said it's like that. All the players, you'll have a game or two where you're like, I can't get in a rhythm, I can't find my shot.
Sure.
Yeah, he was off, but it's fun. I mean, basketball, unlike football, they play like 30-something games.
I know. A lot of times you get better.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, listen, great stuff, man. Thanks as always, and we'll see what happens on Saturday night, and we'll unpack it all next week. See what we look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, always a pleasure. I appreciate you. Salute to you, everybody.
All right, brother. Salute you, man. Take care of yourself, man. You stay safe.
You too. Thank you.
All right, there you go. The great Dwight Vick. Great stuff. Thanks to everybody. Terrific as always. Thanks to everybody in chat. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Once again, thanks to Family Fencing. Thanks to McClellan Chiropractic and Mark Hunley. Thanks so much, Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams. Thanks again so much to this program being presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee. Thanks to Harvey's GM in Radford. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Thank you, Brandon, at Top Shelf Apparel, the attorney Ryan Pry in Radford, National Bank, member FDIC. Thanks to all of our sponsors and the Ready Set Fund and Bob Christ. Tomorrow, the Finally Friday edition. We'll wrap up another week. I hope your Thursday goes well. Unfortunately, when we're doing this show tomorrow, there's going to be snow falling. Any event, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you.